Ah, hey, audit and fraud, friends and family. Listen, today I want you to think about speed limits. Most people don't drive the speed limit. They drive like 5 miles over the speed limit, maybe eight. And then at some point, five over doesn't feel like speeding anymore. It just feels like keeping up with normal traffic. Am I the only one? Anybody else have that feeling? And then sometimes if five is okay, then 10 over feels like five used to feel, and so on. I don't think anybody just sat down one day and decided to become someone who drives like 15 miles over the speed limit. It happened 1 mile per hour at a time. And the whole time it actually felt reasonable because compared to where you just were, it was only just a little bit further. Now, that concept is called incrementalism. And it's not just a driving problem, it's a human problem. We genuinely are bad at tracking the slow movement away from whatever line has been drawn for us, especially when each individual step feels kind of justified. So the scary part isn't the big leap. The scary part is usually just that first incremental step. So here's my question for you today. If the line moves slowly enough, do you ever actually know when you have crossed it? If the line moves slowly enough, do you ever actually know when you have crossed it? So be ready to answer that question and hang on to your hats because, well, yeah, it's another crazy one. Are you ready? Let's go.
Welcome to the Friday Fraudster podcast. Join them as they discuss sad, funny, and sometimes disturbing fraud stories. Be sure to catch past episodes on your favorite podcasting platform or go to www.fridayfraudster.com.
All right. Hey, fraud friends and family. You heard my question for the day. If the line is being adjusted real slowly, is it really a bad thing? Okay, I'm gonna just bring them up today because I could already see Thomas laughing backstage when I said this one is crazy, and I rushed my opening line. Are you ready? Let's go because this thing is insane. You guys are gonna want to stick around for this one.
What are you doing?
I am not answering that question. I am not answering your opening question. Nope.
Okay, so look, the question is, if the line moves slowly enough, do you ever actually know that you've crossed it? If it moves slowly enough, do you ever actually know that you have crossed it?
When
What
the
do you
cop
think,
pulls me
Christine?
over.
What do I think? If you wait another 45 minutes, one of my kids will be home and they will give you the answer. I mean, if you really think about it, kids are great at like pushing that line, not quite going over, but no, I think like if you're using speeding for the example, yeah, I'm a person that I go 5 over in town. I go 10 over on the highway, but I know I'm crossing a line when I'm at 11, 12, 13 over. Like I know I'm crossing a line.
Rob, I'm sure down in Houston, you go that 55 mile per hour speed limit. I'm sure you do because I can't even say it with a straight face because if anybody's going 55 in downtown Houston, you're going to get ran over because everybody else is going 80. but when it comes to, what's the line, when you get pulled over, you've gone too fast. I don't know. I think it depends on the situation. It's rainy today. I would, I'm crossing the line if I'm going over the speed limit on a day like today.
Right.
Yeah. But the question was, if the line moves slowly, do you ever actually know that you've crossed it?
I think you do. I mean, if I were one of those people that drove over the speed limit on a regular basis, then I shouldn't get upset if I get pulled over for speeding, right? You know what you're doing. So even if the line is slowly moving, you might not realize, oh, now I'm going 20 over the speed limit instead of 2, but you know that what you're doing is wrong.
Yeah, I tend to think that deep down we know.
Mhm.
I think
Oh, yeah.
deep down we know. Yeah. Now, Bob is saying 55 will get you killed in Dallas, right?
Exactly. See,
Oh,
people don't understand in Texas, I mean, we actually have 85 miles an hour as a speed limit on one of our freeways. So
wait, where? Who? What?
yeah, northwest, if I remember right, Texas. It's middle of nowhere, like nobody lives there, so you might as well go 85 because it's going to take you forever to get anywhere anyway.
So that means you can go 95. It's like the Autobahn. So yeah, Lisa says, of course you know.
Yeah.
Of course you know.
Yeah, or they use it as an excuse once you get caught.
Yep.
Ooh. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't realize I was doing anything wrong. I really
Well,
didn't think
everybody else was speeding.
Yes.
So okay. Suppose you work for an organization where you had the authority to give discounts. How much of a discount is enough versus how much is too much? And would you know if you've crossed that line?
I think Christine wants to wait for the other. Go ahead, Christine.
I would say here, if it was me, not knowing anything about the company we're talking about, I would say if it's more than an employee discount, you're crossing the line. If you're getting more than what somebody would get as a discount working here, it's crossing the line. That would be my benchmark.
Yeah. So, I mean, I practically live at the store that we're talking about. And I'm actually going there as soon as we get done with the Friday Fraudster today. But many years ago in a prior life, I was a store manager for a very well-known large pharmacy chain. And it was very clear to us what was acceptable, what was not. It was in a policy. We also knew anytime we used our store manager card for discounts, marking it off, whatever, it was flagged. And if you had enough red flags, you knew loss prevention was going to be knocking on the door. That's just how it was. It might be a phone call, it might be a district manager, it might be loss prevention, but you knew those transactions were flagged. And you even saw whenever you ran the tape at the end of the night, how many different discounts and such that were going on. So it's right there in your face. I mean, it's not something that, that's you think, you're hiding, because it's right there blatant for everybody to see.
Right.
Okay. So the line moves slowly, and we all think that people, you kind of know what you're doing, so it's not accidental. Yeah, I feel that way too. Looks like Lisa feels that way. Heather says Florida has crazy speed limits as well. We don't like to go slow. Yeah, I can definitely attest to that from when I lived in Florida. That is for sure. Okay, so look, most fraud doesn't necessarily happen in the dark, and it doesn't happen because people don't know that they're committing fraud. A lot of it also happens in plain sight, right under those fluorescent lights at one of those big box retail stores with orange aprons. Know who I'm talking about? So the guy at the center of today's story, he wasn't hiding either. He was on the sales floor and he was hitting his numbers. He was getting performance reviews that were good and he was collecting bonuses. He was being exactly the kind of manager that corporate likes because his store was performing. And every single time he pushed the line a little further, well, the system looked at the top line number and said, this is a good job. Unfortunately, in today's story, it's about a man who turned a discount button into a $4 million personal reward program, possibly, allegedly. Okay. So let's take you back to December of 2025. Someone inside of Home Depot's internal monitoring program, they flagged some orders as being unusual in the Hialeah Gardens store. It was high quality merchandise, high value, marked way down, like below cost, way down. They pulled that account, then another one, then another one, found out that it was the same manager, same customers, over and over again, dozens of times, hundreds of times. They pulled the full transaction history and the number just kept climbing. A total of 4,500 orders, over $50 million in gross sales, and about a $20 million markdown. Was it 20 million unauthorized markdowns?
30.
It's 30? Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. $24 million of markdown, making it $30 million in sales. Sorry.
Gotcha. Okay.
So in other words, 5 sheets of plywood.
And what it ended up having, resulting in, was a $4.3 million hole where profit should be. So what he ended up doing was giving discounts. He was giving discounts to vendors. Now, those discounts happen to push the prices, the sales price, below cost.
Okay.
So what do you guys think so far?
I am probably not, I should not be in on this story right now.
Why not?
Because I'm looking at, okay, so I might be sitting here going, oh, boo-hoo to the company, right? Number one, 4,500 transactions. Okay, so we take 4,500. So I'm looking at reasonableness here, right? So you're telling me the $4 million in discounts he gave over 4,500 transactions, it was a discount of about $890 per transaction.
No, you've got the math wrong.
Okay.
It was $24 million in markdowns.
24 million. Okay, never mind then. I digress. But because I was looking at that, and then I was also looking at their revenue in the last 5 years. So it was 151.2 billion in 2022, went up to 157 in 23, then down to 152 in 2024, then back up to 159 in 2025, and they're projected to end at 164 for this year.
Okay, so that's revenue. So I jokingly said that I live at Home Depot. I do go to Home Depot a lot more than I will ever admit, but costs, like the price of everything, just like, just about anything else, is skyrocketed.
Oh,
so
yeah.
The revenue has gone up, but if I remember right though, their actual gross profit is not going up the same ratio, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong about that. You've got the numbers better than I do right now.
No, so I went ahead and I did revenue instead of net income because I didn't want to sit here and have false information because their expenses had increased. So like operating expenses, employee expenses, I didn't want that hitting those revenue figures.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I'm not sitting here and saying this person didn't do anything wrong. I'm not justifying. Yep, Lisa, I'm not justifying anything. I'm not. It's because we were talking a little bit about this because I was asking about, okay, so what did the policy say? Like what? Yeah. And that's what Rob is getting at, is where is this line moving? And I'm going, it's hard for me to sit here and be like, did he do anything wrong? I don't know what their discount policy is. If he's a manager, like what is he authorized to give up to? Are they just mad that he figured out that loophole for him to give this money away? Is it an internal control issue?
Here's where it gets sticky, right? Because store managers at these big box retailers, they do have real legitimate pricing authority. And that's not an accident, that's by design. So when you think about it, contractors, commercial accounts, and the bulk buyers like the government and stuff like that, they get deals. That's how the business competes. And so a manager can mark things down within a range. They can approve discounts for good customers. They can make a call in the moment. The system actually allows for that to happen. So the approval authority is real. The blind spot, though, is buried in the margin, because if the discounts become so steep that it wipes out the profit, then it actually creates a loss. And at some point, the system should catch that. So realistically, if nobody's looking at that margin line, then the top line numbers look good. And that's where it got crazy here, because he wasn't necessarily stealing cash, quote unquote, from the register. He wasn't running like a fake return scam or writing fraudulent checks. He was given a tight circle of accounts, this huge, massive discount, which drove his gross sales numbers up while the net went down. And then he got a bonus for it too.
Yeah. And it was that, and Thomas gave me more context on stuff that I did not see. So it gets worse. I was looking at it from the face of it. Yeah. Thomas already put me in my place, y'all.
So Lisa said you ain't gonna discount me into the hole, right?
But you make a good point though, Christine. At the surface, at the face value, if the company doesn't have a clear policy on expectations and limits as far as what the discounts can be, then is he technically doing anything wrong? Now, you can say ethically, is he, should he be doing it? No, unless he's giving me the discount, then I'm okay with it. But clearly there has to be that line there. It has to be good training. There has to be good policies. That's why we have written policies, right? But assuming they did have policies in place, I mean, obviously some stuff got red flagged because it was, as Rob said, it's their internal people that actually caught this. So they have some kind of a flag system, thankfully. But yeah, Rob, what's the more to this?
Okay, before I get to that more, I'm going to skip ahead to when he was in court, because that's where it got funny. Oh man, I'm going to make some of you real mad now. His attorney, Melissa Ramos, in court said, "Your Honor, there's nothing that says he's receiving any kickbacks, like he was getting any benefit from this." And so what she's saying is no cash exchange hands outside of the system. There was no wire transfer to a personal account, no envelope of money being exchanged in a garage, and he had legitimate pricing authority, which he used. And so the money he received came through normal payroll. Now, the prosecution countered, and that's when it got interesting, because the prosecution said by increasing his sales and using those discounts, he was compensated with larger bonuses. So I believe there would be probable cause on both counts that they had for him. Okay, so here's my question. What do you guys think about that? Because he didn't steal from a register or make any wire transfers, it was actually payroll. Is this still a crime? What do you think?
Well, I'll go first. That way y'all can hammer on me. I would say if he is not getting kickbacks and if he is following internal policy on his authorization and he wasn't doing anything wrong, then he's not doing anything wrong. Now, I'm not saying it's not ethically wrong, because I mean, there could be any manager that sits there and only gives discounts to their friends that are coming in. They just probably haven't gotten caught. Is it against policy? Not necessarily, but it's still, to me, ethically wrong. Outside of that, then it is wrong. I mean, if he was only doing it and giving it to people so that more people would come in and get his bonuses up, yeah, but you also have to have evidence that that was what his intentions were, to bonus out higher.
Well, and even there, I don't disagree with you, Christine. If it's not, against company policy, if he's following what he's been trained to do, then he found a loophole that they need to close very quickly. Is it, that's again from a legal standpoint, right? Not talking about the ethics side of it, but from a legal standpoint, he's within his rights there. But hopefully Home Depot is, in any company, right? I mean, that's what we should be learning from this. If you give people the authority to make some kind of discount, you need to have a kind of a policy in place saying how much they're allowed to do.
Okay, so Lisa says kickbacks are fraud. And then she also said, this is interesting, he had an improper relationship with vendors. You're going to hold on for this, Lisa, because this next part is real crazy. She said collusion. And so that was the first thing that came to our mind when we were talking about it. We were like, okay, he got the bonus, no doubt. But what would be outside of the bonus? What is the benefit for you to put your career on the line like that? It just didn't make sense, because this scheme seems like one like the last two where they were just bound to be caught at some point.
Well, and not just that, but 4,500 transactions. Is that right?
Yeah.
4,500 transactions, and it was at over 28 months. So 4,500 divided by 28, that's a whole lot of transactions every single month. Was the effort worth the money? Right? How much? I mean, if he's getting bonus that much to make it worth it, maybe I need to change careers. But
right. So here's the, okay, go ahead, Thomas. Go ahead.
I was to say that the amount of effort that he put into it, if he would have put the same amount of effort into the store and stuff that is more ethically right, how much better could the store have been? Could quality service have gone up, therefore sales could have gone up? I mean, there's a lot of what ifs with this one.
Gotcha. So look, in the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office arrest report, they said, and I quote, the defendant engaged in a deliberate, ongoing, and sophisticated scheme to defraud the Home Depot over a period of approximately 2.5 years, resulting in substantial financial loss. But here's how. He wasn't just marking things down. He was creating shell companies, and he was registering business aliases, and he was structuring orders specifically to stay below internal detection thresholds. And Thomas added this because I couldn't find this part. I was like, okay, why? Apparently he was purchasing, selling, defrauding them with goods that are commonly sold on the black market. So he was selling them below cost and then probably also reselling them again through these companies, which is why he had to buy them at a discount.
Yeah, now I agree. Yeah, that is all illegal.
Yes.
But Bob says, sounds like Thomas needs to take a part-time job for the discounts.
I agree. I totally agree.
Well, he had to have done it for their bonuses, because they were saying that the typical base salary for a Home Depot store manager is between 90 and 110, but the typical bonus range is 20 to 50% of their base salary.
50%.
So, yep. So I could only imagine when your sales are that high, you're probably going more in closer to that 50% salary base.
Yeah. So you're hitting this. You're hitting the bonus plus you're reselling it, selling some of these goods as well. Yep.
Now, did they say that was a possibility, Rob? Or are they saying that that's what he was doing, is selling it?
I have not seen anything that confirms that he was actually selling it. However, we do know he set up shell companies and aliases, and that some of the goods that were being sold were items that are normally sold on the black market. So we're just putting two and two together here now, because Lisa says add all these breadcrumbs and that equals fraud. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting, as if it couldn't get any more interesting. A regional vice president and a district manager called him and told him to stop selling to 7 affiliated businesses, and he named them by name. They told him to stop. He was warned by people with significant titles in the organization. And now I'm just presuming that this was a documented conversation, but it's been said that he was told to stop. And what do you guys think? Did he stop? Christine Thomas, you can't answer that because you already know. What do you got? Heather, Bob, Lisa, what do you think? After being told by his managers to stop, what do you think he did? Do you think he stopped so that he wouldn't have to go to jail or anything like that? Now, Bob says if he was reselling on the black market, he was profiting. That is correct. And I think they couldn't prove that he was selling on the black market, which is why his attorney said he didn't make any money other than through payroll. We're just kind of speculating and putting two and two together. Yep, double dipping. Heather said, maybe I need to be a store manager. Okay, now to answer the question, Lisa said, of course, he did not stop. And Bob says he probably increased. Heather says, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Rob.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, he could have just sat here and said, what's the worst thing that is going to happen? I'm going to lose my job.
Lisa said, who's going to check me, boo? Hey, listen. Okay. So here's what he did. He did not stop, but he went even further. You know, okay, before I say this, let me just say, you ever watch any of those series on stupid criminals or dumb criminals?
Because feels like the show's starting to become that.
Right. Because not only did he not stop, he transferred to a new store and ran the exact same scheme.
They let him transfer?
Yep.
Look, here's what's worse, though. On top of transferring, you didn't think to yourself, my manager named the companies that the companies that I set up by name and told me to stop selling to them. You would have thought he would have just stopped then while he was ahead. Okay, but let's just say if he didn't stop while he was ahead, wouldn't you have just closed those companies and opened up some new shell companies?
Well, yeah, and not even about the companies, but the quote here says that the high markdown activity at his old store stopped once he left, but took a dramatic upturn at his new store when he arrived.
Surprise, surprise.
Lisa said he was 10 toes down. Yes, he was, Lisa, 10 toes down, standing on business.
Standing on business. Whew. I mean, they've got the money to put in analytics to find this stuff so fast.
Yeah, the fact that it took them 2.5 years is a surprise. That's quite a while.
Yeah, which is real crazy because they have a pretty decent analytics team there. So you'd have thought that the analytics would have caught this sooner. Yeah. So on April 21st, 2026, he was arrested at the Flagler Street store, the store he was still managing. The scheme was still running when they walked in to arrest him. So here are the charges: organized fraud of $50,000 or more and first-degree grand theft over $100,000. Now, mind you, he had no prior criminal history. So $4.3 million in losses, a $15,000 bond, and he was out of jail 3 days later.
I did look it up, and it looks like that, because I was like, man, that's like a low amount. And it appears that is like the highest charge he can get for it.
Yep.
Because I was like, 50,000, 100,000, like.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? So the
Well,
trial is pending. There's
well,
no
now he's not being charged for 50,000. That's because it was over 50,000. It's organized fraud and first degree grand theft.
Correct. I figured they probably would at least have another level in there, like something over
Oh, yeah.
250,000 or a million. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Good point. Yep.
Here's the thing though, Florida doesn't play. Florida is strict with a lot of things. So, it is what it is and you are going down. Lisa said he had no criminal history, however, he was just never caught.
Definitely possible.
Yeah.
So I did look into what the average Home Depot store has for gross profit annually, just out of curiosity. Now, obviously they don't publish, these numbers, but by doing the math, their gross profit every year is about 23 million.
Mm.
So if they had 4 million in losses for gross profit, that's a considerable percentage of what they were expecting to make on that from that store.
Wow. Okay. So think about this. Here's the thing here. Above and beyond the $4.3 million, let's think about this. Let's look at the sequence of events that it took to get there. Home Depot's internal monitoring program flagged him. Now, granted, it took 2.5 years, but it still flagged him. So that means that control is working. Leadership actually confronted him, right? A regional VP and a district manager. So that process is working. He was told directly to stop selling to 7 specific businesses. So that part was working. What happened when someone approved his transfer to what I believe was actually a bigger store, if I'm not mistaken? Because if you look at it, the system didn't necessarily fail here. The system worked up until a certain point. It's almost like the organization just blinked and then they gave him a bigger stage to do his fraud on. So the humans behind the controls are really the ones that failed, I would say.
I mean, if I was their board of directors, I would be asking questions.
Yeah, it's we've applauded companies before for identifying fraud, investigating it, firing the person, turning them into the authorities at the proper time. Yeah, this one seems like they dragged their feet. They were just hoping it would just stop. Which, I mean, if you think about it, a reasonable person would have stopped when they knew they were caught.
Yeah. Look, Lisa said he's been doing this all his life, just never caught. This is a seasoned fraudster. And here's a good point. Check previous employers. He's done similar. Because we all know what happens is a lot of times people are fired and not even prosecuted, and they just move on to another company. Now, here's something I didn't think about previously. Lisa says could have been accomplice in Home Depot. So he could have had an accomplice in the Home Depot. It's possible, right?
It is.
How often do you go to Home Depot or just about any store and the store manager is up there running a cash register?
But here's the thing. He may not have been running the register, though. These were bulk orders with corporate customers. So, I don't think that's unusual for a store manager to handle those types of orders. Possibly.
Possibly. I don't know. So normally you have the normal person's entrance and exit, and then you have the contractor entrance that has these massive doors.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
All that.
No, you're right.
Yep. I would assume they have a whole team that's handling just those type of orders. So yeah, I would think somebody in the store was either an accomplice or should have raised a flag saying, hey, this dude's really in our business and shouldn't be.
So Heather's with you. She's like, never. The manager is never going to be there. Now, Lisa brings up another interesting point. Someone in HR helped with the transfer. Ooh, that's possible, right?
Helped with what transfer?
To the other stores.
Oh, to go to the other store.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So let's think about this now. For the auditors listening, think about this. This is a case study for what happens after the control fires. The control, it fired off like it was supposed to. So it wasn't missing. There was not a gap in the process per se. Now, granted, the timeliness is one thing, but the gap here is in the follow through, the warning that he didn't heed, the approval that didn't ask the right questions, the transfer that nobody connected to the red flag he had here. This, my friends, is why doing follow up on your audit issues is so important. And right now, most people are doing that follow up in like an Excel worksheet or something like that. And you've got follow up items that are 2-3 years old. That's why you need a system like audit IA Stream, the best internal audit platform around, to help you automatically follow up on your audit issues. Let me tell you, one of my first jobs as an audit director, I inherited a department and they gave me the long list of outstanding issues. Some of them were 2.5 to 3 years old. Some of them were so old that the actual process had already changed anyway. And so that's the thing. We go out, we audit, we do field work, we issue reports, and then we disappear. And we claim we have a follow-up process, but most times, again, that follow-up process is just an Excel worksheet on the shared drive that people look at occasionally. You got to have a structured follow-up process.
Yeah, I'm trying to look. I'm looking at their annual report. I'm not seeing any red flags when it's coming to their net sales and cost of sales. So their gross profit, just with those two lines, there's not anything huge to recognize. But I'm also sitting here and going, if we look at, because they're saying that they lost the 4 million. I know it's more, but I'm just sitting here going, okay, let's say if it was 4 million that they would have made, knowing that there's more money they paid out in bonuses to him. Just looking at that high level, I don't think there would be a red flag.
Yeah, it would have to be the number of transactions and type of transactions, not necessarily the dollar amounts, the total dollars. Yeah.
And the other thing too, we're talking about a company that's bringing in $1.5 billion a year, right? When we look at financial statement audits, we don't know what that CPA firm is considering a material difference that would require further investigation and an explanation.
Well, and that's why also, though, you have, when it comes to retail, you have a loss prevention group.
Yep.
Because it's a different type of monitoring that they do. Same with, here in Houston, we have, heavy oil and gas, and safety is normally more important than internal controls. Because if you have someone get dramatically hurt or killed on an oil rig, it shuts down the rig and you're losing hundreds of billions, immediately. To where if you have someone, fraudulently do a timesheet, it's not as big of a deal for them. So,
Right.
Something like this, that's why they have these departments to catch what internal audit and what external auditors they would scope out, most of the time.
Yeah. Nothing I can see on the financials that would make me sit here and go, how did that not flag somebody? And I'm looking at between 23 and 25 for fiscal year end.
Yeah.
The only thing that I would see is at the store level. So over 2.5 years, you've got a $4 million loss. That's roughly $2 million a year. If you're supposed to do 22 million in net profit, you do 20. Would a 10% variance, be noticed? But with how the industry goes up and down, I don't know if it would have been noticed or not.
Okay. So Lisa said, yeah, those discounts went to the same small group of people. That should be a red flag.
Yeah.
And that's if you're actively tracking your discounts. Now, she brings up another point. She said they filed the audit finding in a drawer. Here's what's really interesting for audit departments that do follow-up audits. I think that's the most craziest thing we ever do. Think about this. You have an audit that you've done.
Mm-hmm.
You issue the report. there are 10 issues on the report. Each issue has a different due date. Some due dates might be next week, some might be next year, and some might be the year after that. And so what you do is you say, I'm going to wait until all of these are clear to do a follow-up audit. That doesn't make sense. I always did issue follow-ups based on the due date of each individual issue. But somewhere in the follow-up here, somebody dropped the ball on this one because this man was told to stop. They flagged it. They caught it. Yeah.
But did it even make an audit report? Do you know what I'm saying? Like if his managers are like, hey, go ahead and stop it, right? Don't do this anymore. Number one, did they escalate that and put that in his file with HR for when they did the transfer? Was HR even aware of it? Or was that manager of his like, out of my way, don't have to take care of it anymore? Because I know with our audits, every audit firm we have requires our tracker of audit findings, and they get copies of our other audit reports. So they would know if we just took an audit finding off. But it's Home Depot, so it's different.
Well, and I think most people don't take them off. They just let them age for forever. Because when I was looking it up, apparently there was some sort of internal assurance. Let's see. So I think one article said that Home Depot's internal monitoring program, the Assurance and Advisory Management Program. So whether it was internal audit or not, it sounds like some sort of inventory auditing and management oversight program is what caught it. So yeah.
So to give Home Depot a little credit, when I was working for this large pharmacy company, getting store managers was tough. It was not easy to find people that were either qualified or willing to be store managers. So sometimes people were transferred to other stores because they just were not performing at this one. So let's give them, one that's either smaller or maybe the assistant manager team is stronger and move them that way. So it is possible that it was easier to move them because they didn't have someone in that area that could take over the store. So it was easier to just kind of flip managers and keep moving and hope that by telling them, look, you're caught, stop doing this, that maybe something is going to, maybe he would actually listen. Just to try to give them a little bit of credit, because I would assume that Home Depot, if you're essentially stealing from the company, that they're going to, do something about it.
One would think, right?
Otherwise, I'm going to go get a free bathroom set here in a minute.
Oh, goodness. Okay, let's see. Did we miss anything on this one? I don't think we did.
Sorry, Thomas. We're Lowe's people.
I've got two Lowe's near me, and they're not as convenient as one of the Home Depots. Now, I've got one spot where Lowe's and Home Depot face each other, literally face each other. So that's not one. But yeah, over here, I either go to Home Depot and it's like a 15-minute drive, or it's Lowe's and it's one of the worst traffic areas in my area, and it's a longer drive. So no, I don't go to Lowe's unless I have to.
Okay. Lowe's is our close one.
Yeah. I think that's how most people are. Whichever one's closest. They're about the same.
So yeah, I don't know. Are you going to put this on your tracker to find out what happens after this?
Oh, for sure. Because here's the thing. Every organization has a version of this, because earlier, Christine, you were telling us about what the person at Chick-fil-A who was doing like the refund scam.
Yeah, there's a girl who was giving refunds, but she was pocketing the refunds and ended up getting like 80,000. I think it was also in Florida.
Wait. 80,000? This had to be at like a distribution center or something, not a store. Could you imagine at the drive-thru making 80,000 extra dollars at Chick-fil-A? My pleasure.
Yeah, the ex-Chick-fil-A worker accused of $80,000 refund scam.
Dang. Now that's crazy. That is crazy. Now Bob said he spends big money at Menards. Yeah. And Heather is a Lowe's girl. Wow.
I try to
Wow.
go
What
to
a
Harbor Freight when I can because they're the cheapest, but that's a little bit more of a drive here. Now, the average Chick-fil-A store apparently makes or has about 9.4 million in annual sales, so they might not miss 80,000.
Oh, okay. So I read it. Essentially, what happens? This individual got fired, and then they went back to work, went behind the register, ordered $80,000 worth of mac and cheese, and then refunded it and put it on his credit card. Rang up roughly 800 fraudulent orders of macaroni and cheese before refunding the transaction. You picked the wrong story today, Rob. We could have been talking mac and cheese all day.
Who, you are so right. I did pick the wrong story because that one, that's something to talk. And I love me some mac and cheese. I just can't have it because I'm lactose intolerant. Okay. You know, wow. Wow. That might be stupid criminal of the year.
I mean, it took them a while to charge them, though, because this happened back in November.
Wow. Wow.
Let me rephrase that. The investigation started back in November of 2025, after the restaurant owner reported hundreds of suspicious refunds.
Now, did he tell the person to stop doing the refunds and then let them transfer it to another store? That's the big.
No,
did they have a policy about them?
Yeah, he was already there.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So that's all we have for today. The story of the Home Depot employee who was giving discounts and marking things down.
My suggestion, if you guys feel like lines are blurry, ask clarifying questions. I'm just surprised he didn't stop after being told to stop. That would have been the end of it. This would have never been a discussion point today.
Right. Well, and for auditors, remember, just because the report has been issued, it's not over yet.
Right.
The follow-up is important.
Oh.
And for any organization, if the auditors or a department, that's their job is loss prevention, they've reported something major and you don't do something about it, what's the motivation for them to do their job well? And how long are you going to keep the quality people? Because if we're issuing audit reports and nothing is happening, what's the point of our job?
Good point.
Right. Well, like Bob ended up mentioning Menards. It just made me think, I wonder how many people have done scams on the Menards 10% rebate. Because they give you a 10% rebate on everything you buy. It's just a mail-in rebate.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh. Didn't know that. Very interesting.
I just look forward to the next government scams because, we had the PPP loans, we've had some others, and I know the next one's going to be the tariff refunds. So I'm sure all of that is above table with no issues. So I look forward to all of the investigations. So Rob's got content for years.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Crazy. Well, all right, guys. Thank you all for joining us this week. We'll be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. See you next week.
Yeah.